Today I'll be talking about the spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough. So I'll start with defining what backwardness means. Backwardness means, as it says, moving backwards. No progress. Backwardness is not a normal way of life. God is about moving forward. God is about progress. And backwardness, the very definition of backwardness is the state of having made less progress than is normal or expected. Stagnancy. What is the definition of stagnancy? It's inactive, standing still, without any current or circulation, not moving. Failure at the edge of breakthrough pretty much speaks for itself. When you're about to achieve something, when you're at the cusp, at the brink, something happens and then you don't achieve your goal. These are all spirits that attack Christians. They attack people of different religions, but especially Christians. Time does not change anything. Time reveals. That's important to know. A lot of Christians don't even know that they're experiencing backwardness because the enemy will send anyone to remove that seed in their mind. Once they have a seed in their mind, when they go through a traumatic event, and that seed has been put in their mind, like, hey, this could be backwardness. The enemy will send anyone to take that seed out. Oh, don't worry, people get laid off all the time. Oh, don't worry, people break up all the time. Oh, you got stood up at your wedding. People get stood up at their wedding all the time. It's no big deal. And that person doesn't think like, hey, this is a spirit of backwardness at work. But when the years go by and nothing has changed but their age, then they start realizing, oh my God, this is serious. This is not normal. So time reveals. So if you want to know if the spirit of backwardness has played an active role in your life, look back 10 years, 15 years, and see if there's a pattern. Another way of identifying backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough in your life is through your dreams. These spirits enter your dream life, and a lot of Christians don't even know how to identify these spirits in the dream. So on a subconscious level, they ask for your permission. They ask for your permission when you're sleeping. And if you don't reject the dream when you wake up, it gives them the authority to manifest themselves in the physical realm. So a person who has a dream of being back in high school, let's say they graduated high school 10, 15 years ago, or graduated college 10, 15 years ago, and they have a dream that they're back in college studying for a test or writing a test, or they're back in high school studying for an exam, or they're back in elementary school, or they're back at an old house. That is the spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough, asking your permission to manifest itself in your physical realm. Any dream where you find yourself in the past, old schools, old jobs, old house, playing with friends that you haven't met since elementary school, it is the spirit of backwardness asking your permission. Another bonus tip, if you see a dead relative in the dream, so that's a double whammy. When you have the dream where you're back in high school, you graduated high school 20 years ago, you find yourself back in high school writing a test, and then in that classroom, you see a dead relative. Let's say your grandma died or your grandpa died. You see your grandma in that classroom with you. It's a spirit of death that is asking your permission to manifest itself in your physical realm. And there's more than the physical death. There's the spiritual death, where a person is dead in the spiritual realm, and that now manifests in the physical realm, where nothing changes in their life. So a person might not be physically dead, but they're spiritually dead. Spiritually dead. Every aspect of their life is dead. There's no progress in any aspect of their life. No progress in marriage, no progress in their relationships, no progress at work, no progress in school. That is a sign that the spirit of death has manifested in the physical realm. There was a woman who was on YouTube, and she was talking about how she went for a very high position. She was really looking forward to this job. She went for the first interview. They loved her so much. They had her for a second interview. Different individuals in the company, they loved her there. And then they gave her a job offer. Everything was set in stone, passed all the background checks, everything. And they told her, the first day she was going to work. So everything was a done deal. Then they told her to go over to the VP's office. And as far as she was concerned, it was a meet and greet. But when she went to the VP office, they had a conversation. She thought it was okay. And then when she got home, she got a call saying they've rescinded the offer. They have decided to go with someone else. How is this possible? She passed all 3 interviews. They gave her a job offer. They told her the day that she will start working. And then she had a meet and greet with the VP, and they rescinded the offer. Are you telling me that there's not one person out of all the people that she interviewed with that couldn't stand up for her and fight for her and say, hey, we don't know what happened, but we vetted her, she's okay, and if you don't like her after a month, then it's time, we will terminate her? There was no one there? How is it possible that she went through about 3 or 4 or 5 people who interviewed her, went through the process, they liked her so much that they gave her the job, did the background, she passed it, and then one VP called her into the office and the job was rescinded? Make it make sense. And she didn't and if you ask her, the dream she had before she went to the job interview was a dream that she was probably back in high school, and she never thought anything of it. She just went to the job interview, and that was it. And not the job interviews, a meet and greet. In her explanation was that she thought that the reason why the job offer was rescinded was because the VP was interviewing her, but she approached it like a meet and greet. And anyone will approach it as a meet and greet because she already got a job offer. And this is not the first time that I've heard something like this. I had a good friend, and his father is a pastor, and he's a firstborn. And the enemy loves firstborns to destroy the life of firstborns, especially firstborns of pastors. He went to school, got his bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, and he went for a job interview. The woman loved him. Says, we're giving you the position. You're the best person for the job. We've interviewed everyone, and we just love you. We think you are an awesome fit. But you have to have one more interview. And this interview was with another guy, just my colleague or whatever, just to get a feel of you. Colleague, the very next day, he had an interview with the colleague, the boss, whoever it was, and immediately he laid his eye on him, hated him. There was nothing he could say. He just didn't want him there. That's a spirit of backwardness. And a spirit of failure at the edge of breakthrough. I will actually say that's a spirit of failure at the edge of breakthrough. Those two were the failure at the edge of breakthrough. Those 2 examples I just gave are failure, is the spirit of failure at the edge of breakthrough. Stagnancy. When you want to know if a spirit of stagnancy is in your life, You notice that nothing changes. You could be in a job for 10 years. There'll be no raise. There'll be no promotion. I know people like that. No raise, no promotion, no nothing. They'll go put in for a promotion. They won't get it. They will work from morning to night until the nails fall off their fingernails, and they still would never pick them. Stagnancy. Stagnancy is backwardness, but just a low form of it. A very slow form. So a person is stagnant at a job, and after a while, they'll begin to move backwards. Because if you're not getting raises, you're not getting promotions, what will happen is that the income of the city and state that you live in will increase. The standard of living will increase, but your income is still the same. So eventually, instead of buying a house, if you're in a 1-bedroom, instead of buying a house, you will have to downgrade to a studio apartment because something has to give. If your standard of living is more than your income, something's got to give. So normally how it's supposed to work is that you go to college, you get a job, and then after working a job in a couple of years, then you move from a 1-bedroom apartment to a house. A person who has a spirit of stagnancy will work in a job. There's no raises, there's no promotion, there's no bonuses, there's nothing. So what will happen is that eventually, and I've seen this with another friend of mine, she was living in a townhouse. She had worked in a job for like over 15 years, a stagnant, same position, and she ended up leaving the townhouse and moving to an apartment, which is never supposed to happen. If you've worked in a job for 10, 15 years, you're supposed to progress. You're supposed to move forward. From a townhouse, you're supposed to move to an apartment. She moved from a townhouse. Progress would be living in a townhouse, and from living in a townhouse, you move to owning your own home. That would be progress. She left the townhouse and downsized to an apartment, not because she wanted to, but because she couldn't afford it. That is a slow, that is stagnation. And that's why I say stagnation is backwardness, but just a slower version. So she was moving backwards, but she was moving backwards very, very slowly in the form of stagnation. Because she was living in a townhouse for 10 years or something like that. And then some things happened. But the job, she's been working a job for 10 years, no raises, no bonuses, nothing of substance. And then she moved from the townhouse, which she was so sad and so upset that she had to leave. But she had to, because she couldn't afford a townhouse, to an apartment. That's stagnancy. And it happens to many people. Many people. Just stagnancy is like a boat. If you have a sailboat, you don't use it. You just dock. It's docked in the lake, and you don't fix it. What happens is that it'll get rusty, and then there'll be holes on the sailboat, and water will come into the sailboat, and eventually the sailboat will go under. Backwardness, but just in a slower form. Backwardness, a typical example of backwardness is a person who, let's say, starts off with a $9 to $10 an hour job, low job. Like the person says, oh, I really want to improve myself. You know, they get a skill of value, they get a higher paying job. They apply for a higher paying job, they get this high paying job, and then in 7 months they get fired and they go back to the low paying job. That is backwardness. That's a quick downward spiral. Backwardness. Or they're dating someone, the relationship is going great, and when they're engaged, when they're setting the date for the marriage, the man or the woman says, I don't want to be married anymore. That is backwardness right there. Back to square one. So you have to identify your things. But the thing in the Western world is like, Anytime a person is beginning to figure out that something is not right, the enemy will send someone to that person to say, hey, you know what? This happens all the time. So by the time a Christian or a non-believer realize that they're being attacked by these spirits, 20 years has passed, 25 years has passed, which is the saddest thing ever, because now that spirit has eaten up your time. I knew a woman, she was afflicted by the spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough. And she lost her job, she lost her apartment, she lost everything so quick. Really quickly. She was a manager at a store. Someone said something, there was no investigation, nothing. They canned her. She had a baby. She was pregnant. She lost the baby. Then her husband kicked her out of the house, and she was sleeping on someone's bed. So she had a house, a loving husband. She moved from that to sleeping on the sofa of someone else's apartment. She was in the house. She moved from an apartment, sleeping on someone else's sofa. That's backwardness. And she will have those dreams, those dreams all the time. There are many people who have the dreams. They're back in high school. They're back in elementary school. They're back in the old house. They see their dead grandma or they see their dead relative. And they're interacting. They wake up in the morning, they think nothing of it. And then they start manifesting in the physical realm. Jesus Christ is against backwardness. Jehovah Jireh is against backwardness. Holy Spirit is against backwardness. Deuteronomy 1:6 says, you have stand in this place long enough. Move forward. God is not about stagnancy, retrogression, failure at the edge of breakthrough. That is not what God is about. Deuteronomy 1:6-8. The Lord our God said to us at Horeb, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. Break camp and advance into the hill of the country of the Amorites. If God was about backwardness, stagnancy, and failure at the edge of breakthrough, he would have said, you know what, just hang tight, stay there until you pass away. Genesis, God did not, he said, let there be light. After that, it was forward movement. Wednesday, the whole week, apart from Sunday, God was creating the earth. And he never went backwards. He never, created the animals on Tuesday and then on Thursday went back to create more animals. No, it was a one-time deal. If you ever truly read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, one thing I got out of reading it, and I read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you know that Jesus was about his business. From the time he was 12 years old, he was like, look, I came here, my father brought me here, I'm not here to mess around, I have 3 years to get it right. You read the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Jesus Christ was not doing things willy-nilly. He was not moving backwards, there was no stagnancy, there was no failure at the edge of breakthrough. Everything he did was on point. Jesus Christ healed the sick, and he preached the word of God. He was about it, and he was always moving forward. He was about moving forward. Genesis 19:17, when Lot was leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, the angel says, do not look back. Do not look back. And Lot's wife looked back, and she turned into a pillar of salt. We're not supposed to look back. We're not supposed to be living in a backwardness lifestyle, a stagnant lifestyle, a failure at the edge of breakthrough lifestyle. That is all sponsored by the enemy. You have people who are career students. They're in a community college. Community college is 2 years, 60 credits. You have people who have 120 credits and they're in community college. Every single time they get up to they get to the point where they want to graduate, they have that dream of being back in high school, being back in their old home, talking to dead relatives, and they wake up and they're like, no, I'm not graduating. Something is wrong. I don't like the classes I took. I'm going to start all over again. I know a couple. They know all the professors' name. They've been in the university, the community college for like 20 years. And I know people who've been in the university for 20 years. They're supposed to get 120 units. They have 200, 300 units. They take different classes here, there, and everywhere. But they don't have no degree. No degree, no license, no certificate, nothing. They're just there taking classes here, there, class over here, class over there. And every single time they get to that point where it looks like they can graduate, they have the dream, something happens, and they're back in square one. Because these spirits work like a gang. They work together in their good communication. They work together like a team. The spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough, slippery breakthroughs, they all work as a team. And there are many people of all races who are being afflicted by these spirits. And there's so many ways they can manifest themselves in the physical realm, but the number one way is through the dream. Another way is by curses. Someone, it depends on the family bloodline. There could be curses in that family bloodline that the children of this man will not progress in life. Maybe their parents hurt somebody and that person in anger says your children will not progress in life. That's a word curse. And if the person doesn't reject that word sticks. And then the children don't progress in life. And a lot of people don't reject it. When people say something bad, they don't reject it because they don't want to be weird. They don't want to look like they're fanatics. If someone says, I hate you, your children will not progress in life because of what you did to me, that is a curse. And if you don't reject that curse immediately, it sticks. So now you completely forgot. 20, 30 years later, your kid is growing up. Everything they do cannot progress. It's what that woman or man said 10, 15 years ago that you didn't reject. A person gets a job, they work very hard and they get a high paying job. They get fired in 7 months, or they get laid off in 7 months, or the company files for bankruptcy in 7 months. And then they can't move forward. They can't finish paying off their bills. They can't fully furnish their home. They can't really buy a car. They keep on taking the bus. It's a spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, retrogression, failure at the edge of breakthrough. What these spirits hope to gain is to frustrate their victims. Make their victims believe that God doesn't care, God doesn't love them, God is not interested in their lives. That's the plan of the enemy. Always has been, always will be. So how does one find a solution to these problems? The first thing you have to do is fast and pray. Fast and pray. Always attach your prayers with the Bible scripture and cancel these dreams. So let's say you have a dream and you have an interview the next day, or you're getting married the next day, you're back in high school. You're in high school playing ball with your friends. Then your dead relative rolls up in the dream and you have this wonderful conversation with them. And you wake up feeling just so groovy. You hung out with your kid friends that you met in an elementary school, even though you graduated 20 years ago from elementary school. You had a dream that you were hanging out with your elementary school friends and it was just a blast. You were playing ball and everything. And then your dead relative came in and you had a blast with her too, and or him, and you were chatting up a storm. And you woke up feeling cheery. Wipe that grin off your face. You have, number one, covenanted with a spirit of death through the dead relative in the dream. You've covenanted with familiar spirits and masquerading spirits, because those people, those kids in your elementary school or high school, they're not real. They're just familiar spirits, masquerading spirits, just pretending to gain your trust, for you to start chatting with them, and then the covenant is initiated. Hugging them, having this wonderful conversation is all just giving just saying, yes, I approve of you manifesting yourself in my physical realm. I have no problem with you causing my business to be stagnant, causing my job to be stagnant. There are many people who have a business. Their services are impeccable. Their products are amazing. No one will support them or patronize them. No one patronize their products. No one patronize their services. They will literally walk past them every day and give their money to a place where the office is ratchet, it's messy and disgusting, and they will do it. They will do it. Christians, it blows my mind how we don't engage in spiritual warfare. It literally blows my mind. Other religions, people who practice other religions, they will not move to a different city unless they consult their religion. They will not open a business. They wouldn't do nothing. There was a story I was reading about a famous film actress who would not sign playing a role until she goes over to another country to speak to her lady who does the palm reading for her or the astrology for her, to tell her if it's a good deal. And if that woman says it, she has so much faith in this woman that the woman tells her no, it's not a good deal, she will miss out $50,000, a lot of money. But she didn't care, because she truly believes that that's the way, and she don't care. She'll be like, well, my herbalist told me that I shouldn't take the role, and they believe it. You'd be surprised what other religions they practice and how they've been conducting themselves, and how and the sacrifices they had to give to their foreign gods just to open a business. But we can't pray, we can't read our Bible, we can't do anything. We don't want to know about dreams. We just want to go to church and sing a good song and come home and watch TV and go straight to bed. We don't want to read the Bible or fast. Most churches, they fast in January, and that's the wrong time to fast. You have to fast in December and November, the years prior. All the other religions, they do their fast 2 months prior to January. And you hear the congregants complaining, no, we're not leaving this food alone. If most Christians fast and pray, God would have just revealed to them, like, look, you need to pay attention to your dreams. So the solution is fasting and praying about the dream and attaching a Bible scripture to the prayers. And that's all I have for the spirit of backwardness, stagnancy, failure at the edge of breakthrough. If you like this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment. I am always so happy to have visitors on my site, on my podcast. It just warms my spirit. And until next time, peace.